Hello traders, in today's weekly analysis I'm just going to take you through the 16 pairs on my list and show you the 4 pairs I'm looking at, the 4 pairs on my red list. Alright, so quickly a quick rundown on all the pairs on my list and show you the potential movement I'm expecting from each and every one of them. I'm going to be as fast as possible so this video will end up becoming too long. Alright, so on my watch list you have USD CAD. Now what's my bias on USD CAD? So there was this move right here on the daily time frame. There was this impulsive move downwards. After the impulsive move we saw this correction. I was expecting a move downwards continue because this is a continuation correction, but guess what, that move did not happen. Instead, after that move, what did we have? We have an impulsive move to the upside. So my bias on USD CAD actually became a buy. So there was an entry I missed somewhere last week. There was an entry I missed on this pair. So if you look at this, you would see that the price has been moving impulsively. The price moved impulsively on the 4-hour time frame to the upside. It moved impulsively upward and then created this correction, showing that the price is going to continue moving to the upside. But guess what? I saw this move, I saw this correction, I framed it, but I didn't think this correction, so I wouldn't even say it was a missed trade because I was looking at this trade. I just didn't think it was the proper correction for me to get into this trade. So I saw this trade, I actually set all of this, but because this correction was too steep, was too sharp, I didn't take this trade because I felt this correction was too sharp and price was going to form like a wider correction, go up and then come down, give us something like so, because each time there is a sharp correction, price always tends to correct larger, right? So but that didn't happen. Instead, price continued going upward. So it shows me that USD CAD is still going to continue to the upside because I expect price to come all the way to this high on the daily time frame. So there is this high on the daily time frame right about here. All right, so I expect price to come all the way up here. That's my bias on USD CAD. So price is probably still going to come all the way up there. So a buy is likely going to play out. But how do I even plan to get into a buy? So I'm not going into any trade on USD CAD right now. I'm just going to wait for price to break out of this expanding channel up there. All right, so if price breaks out of this and forms a correction up here, then I'll be looking for a buy opportunity on USD CAD. But if that doesn't happen, I'm happy to just let this pass. Okay, so that's my bias on USD CAD. Now on NZD CAD, my bias here is actually mixed because looking at the higher time frame, I was expecting, based on this descending channel, for price to continue to the upside. But if you look at this closely, you realize that there was an impulse that's not paying attention to this descending channel on the larger part. You realize that there was an impulse here. After that impulse, I see the whole of this as a correction. Now look at the way price has been moving. It has been moving in a corrective form. For me, this movement is more corrective than impulsive. So what am I expecting price to do? I was actually expecting the price would actually give me let me show you something here. See, so on the 4-hour time frame, what did I see? I saw that price formed this correction. All right, this was where my bias actually became confusing because on the larger time frame, I see all of this as a correction. All right, after this correction, I was expecting price to break on the upside and continue this bullish move, but that didn't happen. Guess what? Price decided to form a correction up here. So what it means is the whole of this can now be seen as an impulsive move, and this is now like the correction to correct this impulsive move. And you can see, because there's always an impulsive move after a corrective move, this correction is now followed by this impulsive move to the downside. But I actually still have a bias for a buy here, but it's showing on this 4-hour time frame that this is the sell. So my bias here is confusing. I'm just going to leave it. If my bias is not clear enough, I will just move away from that pair, hence why I trade several pairs. All right, so my bias on NZD CAD is not really clear, so I would leave that alone. Now on Euro USD, I'm actually looking for a possible buy on Euro USD, and my reason is very simple. If you come to the daily time frame, you realize that we are in a descending channel. We are in a descending channel, an overall descending channel right there. All right, and if you zoom in closely, you realize that in that descending channel there was an impulsive move to the upside. All right, there was an impulsive move to the upside. Now if we go to the 4-hour time frame, this will be clearer. Right, on the 4-hour time frame, what can I see? I can see that there was this impulsive move to the upside. All right, price moved, you know, this impulsive move happened, correction. Let me clear this a bit so I can show you. So there was this impulsive move, there was this correction, there was another impulsive move, and there was another correction. Now I see this impulsive move again and a larger correction. So my bias here is actually a buy, but I'm not going to take any trade until price breaks out of this trend line and breaks out of the structure. All right, so I see a structure here. I see this point here. If price breaks out of this, then I'll be expecting price to give me a correction up there. So that's where I'll be looking for a buy entry on Euro USD. But for now, there is actually nothing I'm going to do on this pair. I'm just going to let it continue playing out. Okay, so that's my bias on Euro USD. If you go to the next pair, AUD USD, on AUD USD, my bias is actually still a buy, even though on the 4-hour time frame you can see that there was this correction. All right, after this impulsive move to the downside, there was a correction here, and then the price has followed up with an impulsive move again. But I'm not going to be doing anything here because the overall price still looks very much like price is going to move to the upside. So I'm actually going to you know, wait for this to play out. If price breaks out of this trend line to the upside, then I'm going to be looking for a buy. If nothing happens, of course I'll move to a better pair that shows me a clearer bias. All right, so I'm not glued, I'm not in love with any pair in that sense. I only trade pairs that shows me that you're ready to commit to a particular direction. Now if you come to GBP USD, is similar to Euro USD. Now on the daily time frame, we can see that there was an impulsive move to the upside. All right, we can see that there was an impulsive move to the upside. After this impulsive move, I see that this is forming more like a correction. Now the way this correction is forming, it might give us a larger correction because it's very steep. So this could play out to become a larger correction. However, whatever happens, my bias would be that I'm looking for a buy. Now if you come to the 4-hour time frame, you realize that this is more of a descending channel that has formed something that looks like a double bottom right here on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so what my bias would be here is I'll wait for price to, you know, break out of this. All right, break out of this structure and form a correction after the breakout of that structure. Let me draw that clearly or better. After the correction of that structure, I expect, or after the breakout of that structure, rather, I expect price to form a correction. My drawing is pretty bad, but that's what I'm looking for, and then I'm going to be taking a buy after the break of that structure, something like so. Of course, the entry is going to be smaller than this. This is just for educative purpose. All right, now I'm going to clear that and move to the next pair. Now the next pair I'm looking at is NZD. So these ones that are marked red are on my red list. I'm not going to talk about them yet. I would round up the video with them. All right, so CADCHF, I still believe this has the potential of going to the downside. If I show you this on the daily time frame, you would see why. Now on the daily time frame, we are coming from an impulsive move. There was this impulsive move all the way down, and now price is forming this correction. All right, so price is forming that correction on the 4-hour time frame. What do we see? If I take this drawing out of the chart quickly, you see that price is about to complete this corrective move down there. All right, so we can actually argue that price is forming a correction like so. So we could argue that this is an impulsive move, and then there is a correction here, and price is likely going to go to the upside. That would be an amazing argument, which is still valid. However, because I start from the daily time frame, and on the daily time frame, this is an impulsive move on the daily time frame, so my bias based on the daily time frame is still a sell. It doesn't really matter what this does here. You know, worst case scenario is that what can happen here is that this price could actually expand like so. It could actually form a wider correction, and this move can go to the upside and still come down, form a correction, and continue to the downside, something like so. All right, but my bias still remains a sell. All right, now let's go to the next pair. I'm not going to even look at this right now because it's still very much in a no man's land. I'm going to wait for it to break. So the only time I'm going to be looking for a sell here is if it breaks out of this trend line and forms a correction like so. Then if this correction is formed, I'll probably be looking to sell to drive price all the way to this down price there. All right, so that's the focus for CADCHF. Now if I move to the next JPY pair, USD JPY, what's the bias here? I don't really have a lot of bias on this. I don't really have a clear bias rather on this because I can see the price is not really committing yet, even though my bias remains a sell. But I don't really have I'm not really looking at this presently because I believe there are better pairs that are shaping up. All right, now why am I looking for a sell? This is clearly an impulse to the upside, and after this impulse to the upside, I can see that the whole of this is forming like a correction, and this is more of an ascending channel structure. An ascending channel always depicts a reversal. Ascending channel depicts that the price is about to reverse to the downside. So if this is what is playing out, I'm just going to wait for the price to develop better and show me that it's willing to commit. So right now I have somewhat confusing price action here, so I'm just going to leave it. If price gives me an impulsive move to the downside, breaks this structure, then I'll probably start looking for a correction for a sell. But for now, I'm happy to just move away from this pair and let it do its thing. So if we go to the next pair, that's Euro JPY. I'm trying to make this video as short as possible, hence why I'm rushing through these pairs. But when I get to the pairs on my red list, I'll probably take a little more time to show you what I'm looking at. All right, so on this pair, on Euro JPY, I can see here on the daily time frame that price is actually not giving me a very clear price action. All right, yes, this is an ascending channel, but after the ascending channel, I can see impulsive move here followed by another impulsive move. I'm not really seeing price giving me any corrective move, so this is looking like an overall corrective, what's it called, ascending channel. So probably price is going to complete this move and form a third touch up there, so it becomes the first touch, second touch, and the third touch, then it comes down. So I'm not actually looking at anything here until price breaks out of this trend line downward. If price breaks out of this trend line and breaks this price down there, then I'll be looking for a sell. All right, something like so. So I believe there are better JPY pairs that are set up. I'm not really going to bother myself with Euro JPY. All right, so that's the plan for me. I'll be happy to pass that. Now on CADCHF, or let me still leave CADCHF because it's also my red list. I'm actually on a trade on CADCHF. I will explain that shortly. Now on USD CHF, sorry, I said CADCHF, CADCHF. So on the CHF pairs, CADCHF and USD CHF, my bias is actually a buy on those two pairs, and I would show you why. Now on the daily time frame, if you look here, you realize that we are coming from this huge impulsive move. All right, I see all of this as a corrective move, even though it's looking very, very confusing at some point, because I had drawn the structure like so at some point. I had drawn the structure like that, but it just didn't make a lot of sense for me, so I decided to follow these two tops up there, and then I just drew it that way. So my bias is the buy, but I'm not going to be taking any buys until price breaks out. So if we go to the 4-hour time frame, you realize that if price breaks out of this, it's obviously on an impulsive move now. If price breaks out of this and forms a correction, then I'll be looking, because this correction for me has to be large, I'll be looking for a buy from here to this top. All right, that's going to be like let's see how many pips. That's going to be about about 200 pips, which is decent enough to get at least 1:3 or 1:4, depending on the what's it called, lot size I use, or the pip value, the pip size I enter the trade with. Okay, so that's the bias on CHF, USD CHF, Euro AUD. This is actually looking more like a sell for me. So why am I looking for a sell? If you go to the daily time frame, you can clearly see that there was an impulsive move from this price down there, and the whole of this can be seen as a correction, all right, which is the first thing you want to do. Then you go to the 4-hour time frame to see what the price is doing on the 4-hour time frame. So at this point now, I can clearly see that price is about to complete this structure, this corrective structure. So what I'm expecting price to do here is price could actually form a larger ascending channel or a smaller ascending channel, like so. So this price could go all the way up, test that, and then come down. But I won't be getting into any trade until this structure is broken right there, and then price forms a correction like so. Then I'll be happy to look for a sell on Euro AUD. I'll be happy to look for a sell on Euro AUD and ride that sell all the way to the downside, from there all the way to the downside. So this is going to be an amazing trade, but let's see how it plays out. For now, there's really nothing. I'm just going to wait for the trade to continue correcting and do what it wants to do. Now also there's another possibility that this could be a double top right there. Price could just form a double top right there and then break down and give us a correction where I can start looking for a sell. So whatever happens, I'll just wait for price to do its thing. Now that's on Euro AUD. And finally on Euro GBP. On Euro GBP, my bias is still also a sell. All right, now why am I looking for a sell? On the daily time frame, we can see that price has given us more like a potential double top up here. I can see that this is a potential double top. Price came impulsively on that point, but after that, what happened? Price reversed impulsively as well. So there was this impulsive reversal to the downside. If you go to the 4-hour time frame, you can clearly see that there was this reversal to the downside impulsively. Okay, there was this impulsive move to the downside. Now this move to the downside is about to be corrected with this correction. Okay, so what is my bias on this? Is a sell, but how am I planning to get into this trade? Now I'm going to wait for price to break out of this point down here. If price can break out of that point, awesome. I'll be happy to look for a sell. I'll wait for price to form, give us an impulsive move, form a correction, and then this correction is where I start looking for a sell. Forgive my drawing, guys. Like I said, it's going to improve with time. All right, so that's all for my watch list. Now let's go quickly to my red list. On my red list, I have 4 pairs. I'm actually on 2 trades as I speak right now. I entered one of those trades from last week, Friday, and it's running into this week. Now that's a trade on CHFJPY. Now, what was I looking at on CHFJPY? What's the bias? So if you look at this from the daily time frame, you realize that we had an impulsive move. Pay close attention here. We had an impulsive move to the upside, and after the impulsive move, price formed something like a correction. I was expecting price to continue to the upside, but guess what? Price didn't continue to the upside. Instead, price gave us an impulsive move to the downside. Go to the 4-hour time frame, you would have a clearer understanding of this move. So we had this huge impulsive move to the downside up here. You see, there was this move to the downside. After that move, there was this correction. You can see the whole of this correction. Now, what was I expecting? I think I got into a trade. If you go to the 1-hour time frame, I got into a trade. I think I got into a trade here at some point. I got into a trade here, and I ended up losing that trade somewhere here. I ended up losing that trade, and then this correction. I think I was supposed to go into this trade, but I don't know what happened. I think I missed that trade, so I didn't get into that trade. But my bias has always been a sell on this pair, and the moment I saw this correction right there on Friday, this was the trade I took. This one, this correction right there, That was the trade. Set my sell stop entry just right there, and price tagged me in on Friday, moved a bit, and then started, you know, hovering around that entry area. I held the trade through the weekend, and today is Monday. You can see the trade is playing out nicely. I entered this trade with a 40 pips stop loss, and now it's running at 1:8 presently. Okay, so this is one trade I'm in. Now the target is right here. The target is right here. Let me show you that quickly. Now the target is right here. If I can hold the trade to this point, I'll make a 6 or 7% from this trade. However, I can also see that there's a possibility that the trade could go all the way down, even further than that. So what am I looking at as a possibility? So this is an impulsive move. So this, the whole of this could be a correction. So price could come all the way to test this trend line and come all the way right here. All right, but that's very tentative. Price can do whatever it wants to. Nobody can box price. So if that happens, I will be looking to close my trade. That will be testing this, you know, forming a double bottom right there. All right, testing this low right there. So that's what I'm looking at. On CHFJPY, I'm already in a sell on this, running at 1:1.8 right now. Another trade I am into is CADCHF. So what was my bias on this trade? Now I'm going to do another video where I explain my progress on my Forex fund challenge that is going on. I'm going to do a video showing you that this trade, I took this trade last week. I made 5% from this trade last week, and now I'm in another trade. I entered this particular trade today. Now what was my bias? Why did I get into that trade for a buy? Now if you look at this looks a bit confusing, honestly, because initially when I saw this, you would agree with me that this is like an impulse. This is an impulse, and the whole of this can be seen to be a correction. All right, if you're looking at this from the larger view. However, if you look closely, you also realize that there was an impulse on the daily time frame. If you zoom in closely, you realize that there was an impulse. So this was an impulsive move followed by this correction, and then another move followed by this correction, and then another impulsive move. After this impulsive move, give me a sec, let me clear this chart and go to the 4-hour time frame to show you something. On the 4-hour time frame, after that impulsive move, what did we see? Instead of another impulsive move, or instead of a correction to continue downward, what did I see? I saw this impulsive move. I entered this trade, but I didn't hold it long enough. This trade up here, I didn't hold it long enough. I wish I held it long enough, but I didn't. I think I made 2% from that one. Now after this impulsive move, what did we see? Price formed this correction, came all the way down, but then went up again, impulsively down, impulsively up, and then corrected itself. After this correction was when I got into this buy last week, you know, got out for 5%, and then I saw that there was this impulsive move to the upside, another correction. So then I was waiting for a breakout, and see exactly what price did. Why I got into this trade, let me show you that quickly. So you can see that price broke this structure right here. Price broke this structure right there. I was waiting for price to break that structure. Price broke that structure and then formed a correction. If you go to the 1-hour time frame, you see that price formed a correction here. This was the correction that gave me my entry, this correction down here. And then I entered this trade with a 20 pips, and price is presently running now. I entered this trade with 20 pips. Price is presently running now at about 1:2 thereabout. Yes, 1:2. You know, price running at 1:2 right now, and my target is at least 1:3 on this trade. The potential is actually more than that, so this trade could give me 1:6 thereabout if I can hold it up to this point. Could even be 1:7, which is very possible. So what am I looking at now? If price breaks this structure impulsively, price breaks out of here impulsively and forms a correction, then I'll keep holding this trade. Probably look for a scaling entry here. But if price approaches this, let me clear that a bit. If price approaches this structure correctively like so, then I'll probably move my stop loss, just trail my profit, because this could mean price is about to reverse again. All right, so whatever price tells me, I'll just follow suit. But right now I'm also running on this trade on a 1:2 thereabout. So I'll put a screenshot of my entry of my price running on the screen, so you know I'm not just copying. This is actually real trade. I'm taking a real trade right now. All right, so these are the two trades I'm in. So I saw sells on AUD JPY, another sell on NZD JPY. My bias has always been sells for last week and this week. Now, but why did I choose CHF JPY over AUD JPY and NZD JPY? I chose this because for me it has more room, more profits potential than AUD JPY and NZD JPY, and I'll explain that quickly. So on NZD JPY, this is actually a very important point that price could react on. If I pay attention to that point, it means price could actually give me 1:5 max at that point. All right, and then for NZD JPY, I can see that this is also a very critical point. If I pay attention to that point, price will give me a 1:3, and if I move it to this bottom, 1:6. So I realized that I stood a better chance on CHF JPY, where price could give me at this point 1:6, and at the max point I could actually get 1:15 if I can hold it that long. All right, so that's the reason why I chose CHF JPY over AUD JPY and NZD JPY. But now that I've locked in my capital, if I see any formation here on these other JPY pairs, I'll probably take another entry, because I can't really lose again on CHF JPY. I've moved my entry to break even at this point. I can't really lose money on this trade anymore. So if I see an entry on AUD JPY and NZD JPY, I'll be happy to take those trades. All right guys, so this is my weekly outlook. This is what I'm looking at for this week. I hope you found this educative and you got value from this. Do well to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more. And guess what guys, I started a $500 to $5,000 challenge. I'm going to be creating a video on this channel before this week is over to show you the progress of that challenge. Let's see if I can move that $500 to $5,000 before the year is over. You want to be a part of this guys, so subscribe to this YouTube channel and stay connected. You know, click on the bell notification so you don't miss any video I upload in the future. Stay connected guys. And I'm also going to be doing a video for the end of the day or tomorrow, showing you the progress I've made on my evaluation account, on my Forex Fund 10K account I paid for some time last month. All right, I'm going to be showing you the progress I've made on that account and what the plan is going forward. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.